Carnivore has a lot of potential for people overcoming ultra-processed food addiction, which is definitely something that we need to start talking about more because it's not actually a recognized disorder. People don't like by healthcare professionals, but it should be because I know myself, like it happened to me. And you just look around, you see people and you see how we're eating, like many people are functioning within ultra-processed food addiction. They don't even realize it. Felt so compelled to eat ultra-processed food. I found them so delicious. Like I would think about them, I would really want to eat them. And for a while and I would eat these things and they would make me feel awful. And I felt very out of control when I would eat them. And I realized I hated it. It was a very unhealthy behavior in my life. Study participants where they would go to their doctor and be like, look, I want to try low carb for my diabetes, and the doctors would laugh at them. Or then there was just like the miseducation and the confusion between dietary guidelines that we see at the moment, old myths about the dangers of cholesterol, and just confused. Everyone's confused and unsupported.
Hi everyone, welcome to another podcast. And today we have Lucy. She has been on carnivore diet for a while. I saw a few videos of her, very creative, by the way, on Instagram, talking about the carnivore diet. And then I decided to contact her to see if she would be happy to share her experience in this journey with us. So welcome, Lucy. Thank you very much for being here.
Hello, thank you for having me on. Excited to chat.
Awesome. So how did you find out about carnivore diet?
Yeah, so it was really two things in my life that came together to both meet at a carnivore diet. One was my professional life. So I'm a nurse. I work in orthopedic trauma. So I've gone through the generic health system that we have. And I got a lot of insight from that. And then I also had my personal experience of diet, finding what diet actually makes you feel good and what diet you like. Um, from the personal point of view, it really started when I went through a very short but intense period of food restriction when I was a teenager. It really rooted from insecurity, teenage girls, it's a very intense time. And I thought that I wasn't skinny enough. It's very sad, all these things. A lot of girls go through it. A lot of people in general. And that led me down a very restrictive path. And I lost a lot of weight. And it was about a 5 month period. And at the end of it, I felt awful, physically, mentally terrible. And I realized, something needs to change. During that time, I was vegetarian. And I had been vegetarian in the past for a couple of years during my teenage years as well. I thought it was a good thing to do. I thought it was healthy and I thought it was cool as well. There's definitely like an edge that you kind of sell with vegetarian, vegan diets. You think you're doing the right thing, and I found it very easy to kind of like fall into that as a teenager. So when I realized this restrictive eating was not working for me at all, it kind of left me with that question, what do I eat? How do I make myself feel better? What's the best foods to actually heal, nourish my body and feel good? So that led me down the rabbit hole of nutrition. And I started with lots of whole food vegetables because that's kind of default what you think is that's the healthiest food, vegetables, plants. I would eat loads of huge salads, loads of different colors, eat the rainbow. That was kind of my thing. I thought that made sense at the time. Loads of lentils, pulses, chickpeas, those sort of things. And I did start feeling better because I was just eating more food. And that's always going to make you feel better. My breakfast at the time was like a porridge with a whole apple in, and then loads of almonds, flaxseed, chia seed. I thought I had nailed it. But not at all. And I remember eating that every morning, and it tasted nice. It was sweet, but I would be asleep about an hour later. And I just thought, surely not. I was probably about 20 at this time. I thought I had had world's healthiest breakfast and I could fall asleep at my desk. So it made me have to doubt what I was eating. So whilst this was all going on in my personal life, I was training to be a nurse. So I was going around lots of different health departments, seeing seeing the health of the people and being very shocked, thinking, wow, I'm seeing so many people come in with these diseases and no one's getting better. I'm just seeing the same treatment for every single person. They come in, they get their symptoms, they get the medication that aligns with those symptoms, and then they stay ill. And that's the method. And it confused me because I wanted to know, well, why are they ill in the first place? And how can we actually heal? Like, can we put these diseases into remission instead of just treating them with symptomatic management via medications? And also from a point of view of you can't help but think, I don't want to be ill, and at the time I thought that type 2 diabetes was all like these chronic diseases. I thought they were inevitable. I thought everyone's going to get one, no matter what you do, because that's just what happens. The human body gets ill. And sometimes that does unfortunately happen. The human body does just get ill. But for a lot of these cases, I was realizing that these diseases, type 2 diabetes, a lot maybe cancers, strokes, Alzheimer's, heart disease, they're being caused by our environment. These are actually modern diseases. They're new. They're not normal for the body. So there's obviously something that we're exposing ourselves to that's resulting in these diseases to manifest. And I realized that it was mainly driven by our diets because it's such a powerful thing that we partake in every single day, multiple times a day. It has a huge influence on us. And when your diet is inappropriate, your body's going to respond inappropriately with disease. And that's the problem that we're seeing now. It's the most important issue is ultra processed foods. That's where we're really, really wrong. There's no situation ever where ultra processed foods belong in a human diet. And I do think they're driving the metabolic dysfunction that we're seeing. But then if you have to ask, okay, well, you shouldn't eat that. What should you eat? That sent me down the rabbit hole of the optimal human diet, which will heal people. And paired with my porridge that was sending me to sleep, that brought me to ketogenic diets. I was realizing that we were overrun with carbohydrates. It was the carbohydrate load of my porridge that was making me exhausted, even though I was full of food technically, but I wasn't feeling it. My body didn't really feel that way. So I started really reducing my carbohydrate, first getting rid of like the grains, the porridge, the bread, things like that. And for a while, I was very like, it was like quite ketogenic. So lots of vegetables, lots of olive oil, olives, avocado, still upping the bacon, the beef, the eggs. But I definitely had that in my mind of like, whoa, is this right? Because you do have that ingrained fear slightly of saturated fat, animal foods, like really wondering, is this the right choice to make? But I kept going because it just made sense to me. There was a logic behind it that I couldn't really ignore. And I started feeling better. My energy was better. I wasn't falling asleep as after porridge anymore. Um, and I then had a placement in the with the type 2 diabetes nurse specialists. So that was very eye-opening. That solidified a lot of things for me. The message that I got from that placement, these nurses consult one-on-one with patients to teach them how to manage their diabetes. And the message that the patients were getting was eat whatever you want, just cover it with insulin. And type 2 diabetes is a condition defined by high blood glucose levels chronically. And the number one thing that causes high blood glucose levels is too much carbohydrate. But instead of addressing that, the message was eat whatever you want, just inject insulin, which is a hormone that will decrease your blood glucose levels by pushing the sugar out of the blood into your cells. But in a situation where you've had type 2 diabetes now, you've chronically been eating carbohydrates for so long that the cells, the carbohydrates and the sugar is toxic to the cells. The cells are completely overrun that they no longer allow insulin to do its job and put the sugar in the cells. So they block off insulin, which we describe as insulin resistance, and ensure that the sugar stays in the blood to protect the cell. It's actually a protective mechanism. The body's trying to stay alive. Um, but we don't really see it like that. We just see the symptom of blood sugar, and if you inject even more insulin and force the body to do what it's trying to not do, the the sugar can go back into the cells and your symptom of high blood sugar is gone. So we're seeing that as job done, disease state treated, but it's just so far from the reality. Doing that is actually exacerbating their conditions, which is why I never see anyone get well on that placement. I then had a placement in renal dialysis and so kidney failure. And one of the driving forces of kidney failure is diabetes. And these people, they stayed with generic diabetic treatment, and now the kidneys don't work. And they're very, very ill at that point, and their life expectancy and life quality of life, if you're on chronic dialysis, where your blood gets filtered out by a machine 3 times a week for the rest of your life, that's a hard quality of life to deal with. So it was very, very apparent to me that we are not treating these diseases right. And if we really wanted to help these people and heal the body, because the body can heal itself if you allow it to, we need to address root cause. And that is for a large majority of chronic disease, metabolic disease, is going to be our diet, and it's too much carbohydrate. So all of that, just I was obsessed. I couldn't get that out of my head because it was so apparent to me. So I wrote my dissertation in my final year of university on what are the barriers and facilitators to implementing low carbohydrate diets for type 2 diabetics, because I understood we can put these diseases in remission. Why have I gone through 4 years of healthcare and I've never even heard the word ketogenic come out of anyone's mouth? Um, so I wanted to find out why and submit that to the uni. And it was really what I was seeing in the studies was just lack of support from healthcare professionals, so much misinformation regarding cholesterol and saturated fat. Some of the quotes from the study participants, where they would go to their doctor and be like, "Look, I want to try low carb for my diabetes," and the doctors would laugh at them. Or then there was just like the miseducation and the confusion between dietary guidelines that we see at the moment, old myths about the dangers of cholesterol, and just confused. Everyone's confused and unsupported.
Yes.
So, and it's hard. It's really hard because there's so much misinformation out there, and the healthcare professional that you trust is telling you something inappropriate, in my opinion. Like you're going to be confused. So during the study for that, I came across Dr. Paul Mason's video on fiber. At the time, I was still like pretty ketogenic, eating quite a lot of vegetables because I thought vegetables were essential. That was the last thing I held on to. I remember like I'd cook up broccoli and eat that really quickly at the start of my meal and then eat like the eggs and the meat because I just wanted it out the way so I could actually get to the point of the meal. But I thought I should eat the broccoli because it was essential. But I stumbled across this video from Dr. Mason on fiber and it just blew my mind. It just made so much sense to me that maybe we've completely misunderstood the purpose of fiber and how important it really is, and maybe it's not essential. If you've not watched that video, I'd recommend watching it. It's very interesting. And the way he describes and explains it is just perfect. So, and then he introduced carnivore, the idea of that you can just eat animal products and maybe you should, maybe it's the best option. So I was like, no problem, I'll go try that happily. And I committed to 30 days, and it's been a year and 3 months or something like that. And now I'm talking about it on Instagram. And yeah,
Wow,
that's it.
amazing. I love it. Yeah, I'm curious now. I have many questions because a lot of things that you said connect a lot with my story of
Hmm.
with a lot of things that I've lived in the past and things that I'm living now as well. So you said you have been on doing the carnivore diet for more than a year now.
A year and 3 months, pretty much,
Like
yeah.
pure carnivore or like
I mean,
how is it?
I've definitely had moments of not eating carnivore foods. I went traveling last summer, so you got to be a little bit more relaxed because you're living your life and you're traveling. But when I'm at home and like I'm in my routine, I'm going to work, which has been the last like 8 months or whatever. Yeah, eggs, beef, butter, coffee. That's it. Sardines.
Awesome. Yes, I
Yeah.
understand it because I have been now on 5 days, no, pure carnivore. But when I went
85 days, did you say?
eight 5 days, yeah.
Nice. Well
Yeah,
done.
so almost 3 months. So 2 months, I wasn't going to for holidays, so it was easier. I
Yeah.
was just mainly eating at home, so I managed to be like pure carnivore, not the lion diet, but more
Hmm.
carnivore, no, like anything that was animal based.
Hmm.
But 2 weeks ago, I went for holidays, not like 10 days, summer holidays, So then I decided to open a little bit to some keto and paleo like having some types of salads and a little bit of veggie and fruits. Only that. I didn't open for
Hmm.
carbs. And
How
yeah,
did you
so
feel?
uh,
Could you feel
I
the difference?
I like it to get a taste of that things again, no, because it was like 2 months only meat and
Mm.
fat. So I kind of liked it was in Greece. So the tomatoes and the cucumber, it was very organic, it
Yeah,
tastes
lovely food,
different.
isn't it?
So
Yeah.
that was the most that I had. No, I didn't go too much for veggies. And fruits was more like berries and watermelon. That is
Hmm.
very typical there as well. So that's it. I didn't open too much, but I liked to feel the taste of the sugar because of the watermelon and these salads as well. But then I didn't feel like a big difference like in the next day or like how I felt like if I felt bad or more energy or less. But I realized that once I came back to London, I was still like, I want that watermelon again, or I want that cherry tomatoes again, because it's just it's so nice with the meat, like especially
Hmm.
the tomatoes or the cucumber. It gives some freshness, no, to our
Yeah,
diet.
and the crunch. Yeah.
So since then, sometimes I have the sauerkraut now that I decided to have, and a few cherry tomatoes, and sometimes watermelon. So I'm just being honest here that sometimes I,
It's
I
okay.
have it.
I'm not the carnivore police.
Yeah, I think it's because when I started, my plan was to do 100 days in a row, pure
Mhm.
carnivore, just like as in intensive like therapy, because I've been on a very poor diet for my whole life, like for
Yeah.
30 years. So I said, yeah, I want to do 100 days at least, only meat, and then I might reintroduce some things after that. But
Hmm.
then after 2 months, I started to, because of the holidays and everything.
Hmm.
But I'm planning to go back fully carnivore because I feel better. I don't know. I'm constantly measuring my blood sugar.
Oh,
No,
are you? Interesting.
yeah. So I realized that some types of fruit spikes my blood sugar, and I'm not
Yeah.
very happy about that.
Yeah.
Like,
And you even because your insulin is still working at the moment, like even if you ate the fruit and tested it and you don't see a blood sugar spike, it's still happening. Your insulin's just working.
yeah.
So something to be mindful of.
That's true. So yeah, I'm doing very well in the carnivore. I really like because for me it
That's
was
really good.
easier. I already loved meats and barbecue was always my favorite type of meal, so it was easier for me. And I connect with your story because in my teenager I was overweight. Like it's a little bit different from your story, but I was overweight until 13 years old, and then because of like a little bit of bullying in the school, and like teenager and everything. So I decided to go for a diet, and then I lost a lot
Hmm.
of weight because I was also growing. And then, but since then, I always struggle with diet. I was always putting a lot of weights and then doing diets again, and then, getting skinny. And then, I was into this
Hmm.
up and down with my weight for my whole life, like
Uh-huh.
20 years, I would say. I always found difficult to be on a diet because I was always hungry. I was always
Exactly.
craving
Yeah.
sugar, and I was always counting the days to finish this diet and go back to my sugar and
Which isn't
carbs.
living. Yeah.
Exactly. So I was never happy, but I
Hmm.
thought I would have to live with that like for my whole life because that's it. That's how my body works, unfortunately. And then I found carnivore diet in January, February, more or less. And then I said, okay, it's just another diet. Let's give it a try again. It's just like I have been doing diets my whole life, so it's
Hmm.
okay. But then I saw that this one was different because for the first time I feel more. I didn't. I wasn't hungry anymore. I had satiety, and my cravings for sugar stopped as well for carbs. So, wow, this opened my mind to the
Yeah.
point that I decided to question my whole life and even my job that was like for the, marketing for the food industry
Yeah.
for the last 10
I've
years.
seen your Instagram. It looks quite nice.
It's crazy. That's how I've been living my life. My
Yeah.
my
Always
for
around
the
food.
last 10 years, I was around food and but always in the side, I was always trying to do a lot of diets, to keep that amount of calories and always exercising a lot. But it wasn't working well because after that wasn't only the weights, was also like some health issues, like with like some brain fog, ADHD, like low energy, like a huge
Hmm.
amount of coffee to
Hmm.
keep like,
Yeah.
um, even some allergies in my hands, especially. Yeah, like small things, wasn't like something serious as far as I know.
But enough to notice.
Enough to notice
Yeah.
that like if I continue this like for the next 10 years, exactly the same as I did in my past 10 years, it's not gonna work well, like something bad might happen.
Hmm.
So it's better if I start to study it now and try something different. And that's it. And that's here I am now after almost 3 months, and a lot of things happened. Like I lost like 10 kilograms, 10 centimeters of belly.
10.
Yeah,
10.
yeah. I
Wow.
started in February, like 1st of February. I did like keto for
Yeah.
a month and a half, and then carnivore for almost 3 months. So it's been like 4 months and a half, no?
And when you approached carnivore, did you eat intuitively? Did you just eat when till you were full, or did you kind of
Uh,
give yourself like a quantity?
Yes, so I was studying a lot before that. I was watching a lot of podcasts and from all the the famous doctors, Dr. Shafe, Dr. Baker, a lot of nutrition by Jude, the steak and butter gal.
Steak and butter
Yeah,
go, yeah.
yeah, I was studying a lot. So then because I was afraid of that, like oh my gosh, I don't want to do harm to my body. So,
Hmm.
but after a lot of understanding, I said, okay, I think I can do it now. And then I was trying to eat to satiate. I was afraid with fat because I've never had so much fat in my life.
Hmm.
So I wasn't maybe putting enough fat.
Hmm.
And then that's why I had like this keto flu and this kind of thing for the first week.
Hmm.
But then after the first week, it's stabilized and it went easier. Um,
Amazing. I think that's one of my favorite things about carnivore and why I advocate it so strongly for the appetite regulation. It's just it's I didn't say this in my story, but when I was growing up and up until I found carnivore, felt so compelled to eat ultra processed food. I found them so delicious and
yes.
so like I would think about them. I would really want to eat them. And for a while and I would eat these things and it would make me feel awful. And I felt very out of control when I would eat them. And I realized I hated it. It was a very unhealthy behavior in my life. And starting to go keto, like kind of helped that. But I always had that thought in my head. And kind of like you were saying, like it felt like, oh, this is just normal. Like this is just something I'm going to have to deal with for the rest of my life. It's not going to go away. It's just a normal thing. Absolutely not normal. I'm so glad I have found out. It was only till even like anything keto, like never got rid of this. But it was only till carnivore when you really understand what it feels like to feel full and just completely satisfied that they just go away. You don't want it. Your brain is happy and relaxed around food, and you can just eat and then feel full and then move on and not want any more food. And that was a blessing in my life. Like I really I'm sure you can relate. It becomes mentally exhausting when you feel like you're thinking about food all the time. And even if you're eating a whole meal, you never really know if you're full. And it always felt like I could eat more, but I knew I didn't need it. And it just like you're just in this horrible like back and forth in your head all the time. But like that's just gone. The clarity of appetite signals is amazing. And I think like carnivore has a lot of potential for people overcoming ultra processed food addiction, which is definitely something that we need to start talking about more because it's not actually recognized disorder. People don't like by healthcare professionals, but it should be because I know myself, like it happened to me. And you just look around, you see people and you see how we're eating, like many people are functioning within ultra processed food addiction. They don't even realize it. And I think a nutrient dense, high fat, low carbohydrate, relatively strict carnivore diet, probably for a while, if you're really addicted and like struggling, is possibly going to be the number one thing that will help people get out of ultra processed food and move on, like really move on and not want them. Because now I look at them and I don't want that. It's so mind-blowing to me. Like I do not want it. I want nothing to do with it. In the past, I'd have to like, look at it and be like, oh, I'd love to eat that, but I know I shouldn't, and like move on. And it was always like a battle, and that's just gone. So there's a lot of potential there, and I just wish people could talk about it more because it could help so many people.
Totally. Yeah, I agree. I've never had this feeling before as well of managing to control my own desires, no, and cravings
Hmm.
for food, for carbs, for processed food, for sugar. That was
Hmm.
my main addiction, sugar
Hmm.
especially. And that's why now I decided to start a podcast as well to talk about this because I'm actually going against everything that I have been promoting for the past 10 years, because I was so addicted for food that I thought it was my passion, which was, and is still kind of, but I decided to make it my job, no? So I
Hmm.
started to create content for this 10 years ago. And then like, oh, my dream would be like, like just to work with all types of food and all types of restaurants. And then when it became real, I realized that maybe it's not exactly the right way because I see a lot of colleagues knowing the as a influencer that they are not healthy, like they are around food every time, but it's just not health.
Hmm.
And especially if someone that already has some like kind of like addiction or cravings or bad behaviors with food, it make it worse because like
Hmm.
my overweight obese teenager boy never left myself, like even if I grew up, but I always had that
Yeah.
obese mentality that I
Hmm.
love food, I love sugar, I
Because
love
we're so emotionally connected to food. We can't
yeah.
help it. It's just, it's in our culture. We're raised like that. When you're celebrating, there's food. When you're sad, there's food. Like we're very over connected to food as a people. And I think for me, like when I went carnivore and I kind of like, you kind of have to, you halt that. You stop using food for anything other than health and healing your body and supporting your body in the way that it actually needs. And it forces you to bring up all these other reasons and feelings and emotions that you had associated with food because you've stopped using that behavior. You've stopped using food to mask other feelings. And it can actually be quite hard. I don't think some people realize like just how much they've been using food to support themselves in emotional ways. So it can kind of bring up a lot of like trauma in your life, really.
Yeah.
But that's why I think it's so amazing because it can make you realize where you were, what was holding you back. And then you can actually do something about it instead of just going to food again and then again and then again and staying in that pattern. and in that emotional crux of using food, you can actually directly now address your problems, as awful and hard as that is. But ultimately, you're going to be so much better off if you can do that because you're going to free yourself. Food isn't going to mean what it used to mean anymore because you actually solved your issues surrounding food, like the reason why you were overeating in the first place, or relying on ultra processed food, or looking for that dopamine somewhere else. You're going to have to address it, and some people aren't ready for that. That emotional, psychological aspect of kind of breaking up with food and halting that relationship. But it's so worth it. It happened to me, and it was just like it's changed my life, and it changes your character. It makes you just a better person, personally, if you can like overcome that.
That's true. Yeah, I
Diet is
agree.
not just diet, it's so much more.
No, yes, totally. It's changing my entire being. Like I've never felt this with none of the diets that I've tried for like 20 years. Like that's the first time I feel like completely different. It's changing my, my being like physically, emotionally, mentally,
Yeah.
even spiritually because
Yeah, no, absolutely.
yeah, so that's why I find it different. Now, and on top of that, I think it's also very good because meat is good and taste is good. It's delicious, and we can also eat a lot. I mean, like we
Hmm.
can eat
As much as you
until
need.
as much as we need,
Yeah.
exactly. So we don't need to be counting calories or eating
No,
less.
no, not at all. I kind of see carnivore as like a weight restoration diet because it supports your body so well, and the fat supports your hormones. Your body's going to be able to react appropriately because it understands the food, it knows what to do with it. And your body's natural state is a state of health. It's trying all the time. Maybe it doesn't feel like it because you're giving it the wrong things, but it is trying all the time to find homeostasis, to find balance, to be well. So if you can do the external things to facilitate your body to do that, you're going to find your body's natural state and its natural rhythm, which is a state of health. So if you have weight to lose, if you go when you're going into a carnivore diet, you can lose the weight without being restricted, without thinking about how much you should eat. And if you have weight to gain, like I had weight to gain, I gained weight when I went carnivore. I gained weight and then my body like found its point where I wanted to be and I've just stayed there. Like it's a really easy way to eat and it tastes delicious, so why would you not?
Exactly. No, that's amazing, no? Because yeah, I think a lot of people they try this maybe to lose weight or maybe to, like just
Yeah.
overcome any type of diseases, but a lot of people also want to gain weight, like
Hmm.
maybe fight some, something else. But um, yeah, I like what you said about the diabetes as well, type 2 especially. I have family members with diabetes type 2. I also have
Hmm.
friends with diabetes type 1. And so do you think carnivore diets is something good for them?
Oh, absolutely. It's very clear with type 2. The difference between type 1 and type 2. Type 1 is autoimmune, so your body doesn't produce insulin at all. You have no insulin, no capacity to produce insulin, and we need insulin. We always need a small amount of insulin. The problem is when we have far too much insulin, which is what's going on in type 2 diabetes. Your body works, but you've just overrun your system with too many carbohydrates for every single day for years and years and years. Your body just is exhausted and burnt out, and it can't process that anymore. So in a situation like that in type 2 diabetes, I think the most effective treatment, not medical advice, my opinion, the most effective treatment is to stop eating carbohydrates, is to take that burden away from your system, stop forcing it to try and produce more and more and more insulin and allow it to have a break. And in that break, it can heal. You can reverse type 2 diabetes. Losing weight, if you're overweight, will also help. And a low carbohydrate, nutrient dense diet, I think, is also the most effective or not losing weight, losing fat. We don't want to lose muscle. We don't want to lose bone density, which starvation diets can do. You could lose a lot of weight, but where's that weight coming from? I think it's really important to highlight that we want to lose fat because these fat cells are insulin resistant. We want to increase insulin resistance in the body. Sorry, we want to increase insulin sensitivity in the body. So by reducing fat cells, you can do that. And obviously, just being at a healthy weight is good for your body. So yeah, I think for type 2 diabetes, it's very, very clear that a low carbohydrate approach is very, very effective and far more effective than medications, which will never address the sugar that's in your blood. In terms of type 1, I also do think it's definitely a viable option and a very good way to manage your type 1 diabetes. You could never cure it because your body is incapable of producing insulin. You always need to inject a certain amount of insulin, but it's the same logic. You know, the more carbohydrates you eat, the more insulin you're going to have to administer yourself. If so, you can, I think you can definitely approach carnivore with with type 1 diabetes. You just obviously have to be extremely vigilant, checking your blood sugar levels, making sure you're not over injecting insulin because that can be fatal. I would work with your healthcare professional, but I absolutely think it's possible and can make your blood sugar management so much easier. And you would just likely need less insulin, which is always good.
Amazing. Yes, fantastic. And how is your routine today? Like, how do you eat? Like, do you open sometimes for like a keto, or you stay like full carnivore? Like,
I'm pretty the same. I kind of eat the same thing every day, which some people can't fathom that I eat the same thing every day when they're so used to variety and they get sick of foods. I'm like, nope. I wake up every day and I'm so excited to just eat beef and eggs.
do you normally have a breakfast or like a
Yeah,
late
so I like
breakfast?
to eat in the morning.
Right.
At the moment, I've actually been going for, usually I would get up and eat. But at the moment, I've actually been really enjoying going for like an hour's walk in the morning before doing anything. Because the weather's so nice at the moment. It's summer in Scotland, so I make the most of that. And then I'll come home and I'll eat eggs. I usually have like 6 eggs in the morning. And then I'm a budget carnivore. I would love to be eating steaks all day, but most of my carnivore has been eggs and beef mince. So I just make it into like beef patties. This is like late lunch. Beef patties or meatballs or just literally fry it in a pan. And then some sardines, maybe a couple more eggs, kind of just depends. And then that's it. Usually just 2 meals a day.
2 meals a day. Right. So you don't open like you said it like when you went for holidays, maybe you opened a little bit. Like
Oh
what did
yeah.
you have?
Like last summer, I mean, there were some things which would, I mean, you're away and you're eating like whatever you want sometimes. But if I was to like a more relaxed version of my diet would be things like some certain fruits, cucumbers, technically a fruit, avocado, olives maybe, but or like sauerkraut like you. And then like more dairy. I do have dairy now occasionally, but I find I can overeat dairy. And I love having clear appetite signals. I love it. So I try and avoid dairy. I have it like once a month and I enjoy it however I want. And then I'm fine to just like not have it. But sometimes I would have a bit of lemon water. Like that's really pushing the boat. And I think I did have some tomato and stuff, but like I find it very easy to stick to carnivore because I'm not trying, I don't wake up every day and I think I'm gonna try really hard today to only eat beef and eggs. Like it's just my default. More than happy to eat this every day. Um, but yeah, just a few selected vegetables, I suppose. But now I've gone so long without fiber. This is like an interesting thing that I didn't really realize I had like about my body. When I used to eat loads of fiber, I didn't notice it, but I was actually like bloated all the time. I just had this mild underlying bloat because you're just full of fiber. So it's really interesting, like when you sometimes do try a little bit of cucumber or a bit of sauerkraut, and you feel it. Like I'm bloated. I don't feel as, like my food is just the digestion is different, and I don't like it as much. So it's really easy for me to just not eat these foods because I know I feel better without them. So
Awesome.
yeah.
Yes. Yeah, totally makes totally sense. I find the same thing with dairy. I don't have any allergy as far as I know, but I can
Mhm.
see that I get hungrier if I
Oh
eat more
yeah,
cheese,
definitely.
yogurts. But I love yogurts, and I can just have the whole container of yogurts.
Easy.
Yeah, exactly. I try now to have. I found something here in London in Borough Market that they sell like raw milk. Um,
Yes, I'm going to London in a couple of weeks. I've never had raw
nice.
milk, so
Uh, yeah, I heard like in Scotland it's like not
it's
legal.
illegal. Yep.
Yeah.
You can get cheese that's raw
Okay,
because
good.
it's cheese, and you can get I found one raw butter before, but everything else is and it's really expensive, these sort of things. But
Yeah,
everything else
same.
pasteurized and you can't get just milk, yeah.
Right, yeah. Quite sad. I didn't know that, but I saw that in England is legal and in
Yeah.
Scotland is not. I don't know why. But yeah, at least you can find raw cheese and raw butter
Hmm.
maybe sometimes. But yeah, if you come to London, in Borough Markets, they have this shop, I think is Hook and Son, something like this.
Hmm.
I can send you the name. I don't remember very well. But they have a big range of like raw milk, raw butter, raw yogurts, raw kefir,
They have raw
raw
cream.
double cream. Yeah.
Oh, I'm gonna
Yeah.
get that.
Yeah, and they also have like a range of like grass-fed beefs from their own like
Oh, really?
dairy farm. I normally when I go there, I'm more for the dairy, not for the beef, which is very expensive by the way.
Yeah.
But it's good. Like I've also don't remember when I had like raw milk in my life, to be honest.
Hmm.
I grew up like in a big city, like without access to like farm products, and yeah, so I do love them, but I do get addictive as well to have
Yeah.
more.
It opens up my appetite because it's so nice. And if you think about the logic behind the role of dairy, it's to make a very small, vulnerable
Mm.
baby animal grow quickly to survive and be strong. So
Yes,
you want it to be delicious because this baby needs to have an extremely strong drive to consume this product because that's what's going to keep it alive and survive. So it makes sense. But when you're in a
yeah,
situation when you're not a baby anymore and you don't need that sort of energy like so quickly, it could
yeah.
be problematic.
Makes sense. And talking about this as well, like I can share here that I grew up with a very poor diet, like as I said, it was a big city, I grew up in Brazil, in São Paulo, so
Hmm.
my diet was very bad. Like my parents they didn't know anything about nutrition or about food, and like I grew up full of sugar and like full of like breads, like processed breads and cookies and cakes
Hmm.
and like very bad. And so yeah, so I think that's why as well I was like an obese teenager. I had all these food cravings and addictions that I still having today, like not from the last 3 months, but I know that it's like an ex-smoker, no? Like if I go back to sugar or carbohydrates, I will fall again, because
And that's why I
this,
hate the everything in moderation
yeah,
phrase that people chuck
same.
around. I have a video on this. It's on my YouTube. Sorry, it's on my Instagram. If people want to go see it, but oh my gosh, it just drives me nuts. It's not true. You can't moderate things that you're addicted to. I
Yeah,
just, it's not true.
exactly, because it's easier for people that have no addiction to food to say
Hmm.
that, and that's okay. Like they can have moderation because they have no addiction at all. But it's the same like to a drug addicted or a cigarette addicted. If they
Exactly.
cannot have this in moderation, it's exactly the same as food.
No, exactly. And it's such a problem because well, personally, I kind of think it's made by the food industry because they know that you can't moderate their foods. If you have one,
Exactly.
you're going to have the whole bag. And I know a lot of people deal with that. This isn't like a a minority situation, I don't think. I mean, there are some people that can. I have a friend that could just eat one and then move on like nothing happened, and I think she's amazing and good for her. But that's not me. I
Yeah,
wish it
same.
was, but it's just not me, and I've just learned to understand that now. And how I deal with it is not having everything in moderation because it doesn't exist. And I'm fine with it now.
Totally, yeah, totally. I was considering opening for a keto, for a paleo, but I don't know. More I talk to people, more we share this kind of experience here. More I getting to know, like let's just think carnivore because I already love the carnivore. So why to open that and get
Yeah,
the
and some
risk?
more time because you don't really know you don't know how good you could feel. You don't really know like what it could do for you. Because some things that changed in my life, I didn't really know I like had an issue. Well, not even major things, but like for example, my nails started growing. Things like beauty things, like I could never grow my nails out ever. They were so brittle and they were so weak and they were just always short. And then it was probably like 6 months in, I just suddenly realized I looked down, I'm like, oh my God, I got nails now. And like I would have periods of my hair falling out back in the day, and like that's just totally stopped. Like your body's gonna keep changing. So there's like a degree of curiosity, like you kind of want to know.
Yeah, it's interesting that you say that because I speak with some doctors and I remember one dermatologist, she said that like oh hair, nails and skin's kind of accessory, not to the body, to the body. But she means that like when something is wrong inside, the body will
Exactly.
prioritize it to,
Exactly.
to protect that, like the most important thing. So the rest will
Hmm.
just, fall here or have a
Yeah.
problem,
And
have
get
an
weak.
allergy. Exactly. So it's nice because I've been only 5 days, 4 days, and I don't know. I think like, oh, okay, did I have all the benefits already, or something more about to happen?
Mhm.
So in your experience, like how like do you still feeling like benefits or differences like or like
I mean, every day I feel benefits because I feel the energy. Like, luckily for me, I didn't have like a physical, because I was young when I started. I didn't have a physical illness to try and like heal and overcome. Really, I mean, I was definitely malnourished. That's for one. Like the way my hair and my nails were, it was a good example. And because I went through a period of restriction and eating junk for a while. I just had quite a few. I'm vegetarian for a few years as a teenager. Like I've had like moments in my life where I just wasn't eating enough nutrient-dense foods. So I definitely had some nutrition to gain, which was good. I definitely did that. But I think for a lot of me, the benefits I get from carnivore is like behavioral, like mental energy things, like freeing myself from like that cycle of like food and the confusion around food and just getting out of blood sugar dips. I love my energy is so stable. I wake up, I'm ready to go. I eat, I'm still ready to go. I eat again, I'm still ready to go. And then I eventually get tired and go to bed. Like that, I didn't really have that sort of like energy pattern when I was eating carbohydrates, and I wouldn't really want to go back, to be honest. So that's the biggest thing I've noticed and like continue to enjoy every day from Carnival, and the mental freedom.
fantastic? Yes. So, yeah, I think a lot of people as well understand what I'm saying. That like maybe you had a goal. Like my goal was more like to lose weight as all the diets of my life, and then as soon as I lost it, I got the body that I wanted. Okay, so that's like it's almost 3 months. Yeah. What else is gonna happen? No, so.
Hmm.
But it's good to know that you still feeling the difference, and I agree.
Hmm.
Yeah, that's true.
And finding
Um,
a way that you can like it just facilitates like an easier life for you to just function in. Like I just find functioning day to day is just so much more simple, quicker. Like with meals, it's so quick. The decision fatigue. There's a lot of thought kind of wasted in deciding what you want to eat. Like, what do I crave? What do I really? Well, like I used to kind of I'd come to every meal like I'm a bit confused. What does my body want? Because I could never really tell. But now, like, you're so tuned into yourself, and it's so straightforward and it's so simple. You just have time for other things. You know, you have time for life, and your thoughts are more clear. It's not overridden by random food cravings or like, are you hungry? Are you not hungry? Oh, I wish I could eat that right now. Like, it's just gone. You have more time to pursue other things. Like, I wouldn't have been able to have, I mean, obviously the knowledge, but the mental clarity and the drive to make my Instagram, like pursue something else probably until I came to Carnivore because I didn't have the brain space to do that, or the energy, or like the clarity of mind, or the
Yeah.
confidence. It's crazy. Like, it just changes your character. It is a very wild thing.
It is totally, and I think that's why I'm here as well. Doing this and continue to study because it is weird, like all the benefits and especially when you read about the benefits that the population is having, that people that are trying, this kind of lifestyle. So how do you find like your social life, your like family, your I don't know work, like how do you deal with this?
I think it's the hardest part about the whole thing because it's a very simple way to live, but the world is set up to make it complicated, which is quite ironic. My family are very on board. They eat a lot more meat now. Got rid of ultra processed food. My dad is very interesting to like see change over the years. Like, he used to be addicted to ultra processed food. Um, Overweight, not well, showing symptoms of pre-diabetes, and now all gone. He looks much better. He's lost weight. He doesn't eat junk food anymore. He feels full. He loves his meals. So it's amazing to see that change in him. And then all my family is just like heavy meat heavy now, like much lower carbs. Not as like strict as I am, because they just prefer that, which is fine. I mean, it's still a great diet. Um, in terms of my work, I can get some like I've had some like interesting conversations with other nurses. No one's been like rude about it. Most people are just curious because it is, for a lot of people, it's a sh extremely foreign idea, and especially for people in healthcare, that can be quite indoctrinated in ways of like old dietary beliefs, and cholesterol is bad for you. We're literally handing out statins all day. Like, it's very easy to believe that. So I get a lot of like, oh my gosh, like, you don't eat this, and people asking me like, do you supplement things? I'm like, I eat the most nutrient dense foods on this planet. Like, are you supplementing? It's quite funny. But I'm happy to talk about it. I like talking to, I like seeing people go through the thought processes of the whole thing when it's like the first time they're introduced to it. And like, you answer, you can see that they're seeing that it actually makes sense. And so it's quite interesting. Socially, in terms, I don't really eat out that much because it's expensive, but I mean, it is possible because steak exists. Steakhouses are the best. But I guess one thing is hard is like parties, alcohol situations. Those ones are, I mean, I still go, I don't go that much because I work in hospitals during the weekend, so it kind of makes it's just not really part of my life. But that was kind of the hardest part. I have noticed I've naturally drifted away from certain relationships, certain friendships, because we just have different interests. Like, these sort of people like to go out and get really drunk at the pub, and like that's kind of like what they do, and that's fine. But I'm not interested. So some things have changed, but it's not good, it's not bad. It just is what it is. How about yourself?
Uh, I think the parties, no, not the parties, sorry, like the social gathering, like when I have like an invitation for a dinner in like a friend's house or like a family's house
Hmm.
when I cannot control what they are cooking. Like
Hmm.
I think it's easier if I go out for restaurants because there is always a steak, there is always
Hmm.
like a cheesy platter for desserts in case
Yeah,
I want.
exactly. That's what
So
I have.
I find restaurants very easy because I can control what I'm ordering. But for me, the difficult is if someone invites me to eat at their house.
Yeah.
I don't want to be rude or just say no, I don't eat this or that, and then is I think it's the biggest problem. When yeah, that's the with family events, I don't struggle too much because I have most of my family is in Brazil, so I don't have too much invitations for that.
Uh-huh.
But with friends, is it's quite difficult. For example, I can give you a very good example that a very good friend of mine that is like they are vegetarians. They invited us for lunch. And because they are so amazing, they have been friends for my whole life, like I mean for my whole life that I'm in London, no, that has been like almost 10 years. So I just couldn't deny that. Like some invitations I might deny, but that one I couldn't. And
And
I
you
had
shouldn't either. I don't think
exactly.
we're going for optimal here, and optimal also
Yeah,
means like living your life and
totally.
enjoying being with
Yeah,
people and going out with your friends. Like that's health too.
I
I don't
agree.
want to I don't want like the dogmatic thing like you have to like change everything about your life because you have to stick to carnivore and if you can't do that then like you're not doing it right. I'm like no.
Yeah,
Like, life comes first, but like carnivore can facilitate a very good life.
perfect.
And all you
Yeah,
got to do is stick like the majority of the time when it's easy, which most of the time, you are in control of your meals, like you're going to be fine.
100%.
And to
Yeah, I
not go
agree.
out with your friends would be suboptimal.
Totally. Yeah. And also because this happens like once in a while, like once a
Hmm.
month maximum, and
Hmm.
and I think that's when we could maybe considering opening that because like if
Oh
you
yeah,
have
absolutely.
once in a while an event with friends, like exactly as you said, the
Unless
social
you have
life
a
is very
health like a
important.
health issue that's like really important for you to
True.
stay strict, then
Yeah.
your friends should understand that. And if they don't know if they're your
Yeah.
friends because it's your health.
I
But
agree.
if you're doing it just to feel good, but you can tolerate these foods, you should absolutely just go and enjoy it because that's so healthy.
Yeah, yeah. That's why I accepted the invitation. It was amazing. I enjoyed a
Good,
lot. And
good.
then, but it's okay. The next day I was back. Like
Yeah,
it was one meal. It wasn't like the whole day, So I managed to
mad.
control
Yeah.
myself because I think it's easier when some people like open up for this event to just like, okay, I'm doing this for lunch, so I'm gonna do for dinner as well. I'm gonna do for breakfast. I
Yeah,
think that's when the
especially if it's
problem comes up.
sugar, if you have a previous, addiction to sugar and like sometimes
Yeah.
that one thing could set your cravings up all over again. Um I guess like you learn over time as well like how much what like a little bit of addition like does to you and how you tolerate it and like if you can manage it or not. Like some people could try one little bit of cake again and it could send them down a 3-day binge. Like you don't know like what sort of issues that they're still dealing with. Some people
Yeah.
could just have one and then go straight back to it, which most people would be like.
Yeah, because I was a bit afraid, from these invitations just because it was my first time. It was almost 2 months that I was like pure carnivore, and I was worried to feel bad. No, like
Hmm.
because after reading so many things and listening so many things, people say no, I was fully carnivore, and then I decided to try something different, and I felt bad the next day. I had headaches. I was quite scared, I said, "Oh my gosh, I don't want to feel bad the next day," but I
Hmm.
actually didn't. So
Hmm.
I think that was my main concern,
Hmm.
before
But then
accepting
even
that.
if you did, it's still really helpful to just know. Now you know, you know?
That's true. Yeah, I was
That's
also,
why
also
carnivore is so amazing because it's also like the ultimate elimination diet.
yeah,
So you can really get to know like how each single food can react inside of you and how it can make you feel. And you could realize that you're intolerant to things that you never thought you were, but
yeah,
actually I have a stomach ache and I feel awful. So
I agree. Yeah, I was very curious to see how my body would react. But yeah, it was everything okay. And it's easy
that's
to
good.
go back. not to
Yeah.
carnivore to eat meat, and it's not difficult. Like I said, oh no, I have to go back to my diet. It's very easy. Lucy, I have only one more question because as you work in a hospital, it might be easier or not, I don't know, for you to check your health or your, blood works and this kind of thing. Like, do you check like how is your situation? No.
I've never done a blood test. I wish I kind of did before, but I just didn't really. I kind of have a lot of like my philosophy behind it is, if you're eating the optimal diet, your body's gonna run as well as it can. So why stress? Um, so I've not really felt like I've wanted to, not had the desire to do that. I've taken my blood pressure before at work. Last time I did it, it was like 113 over something. So like pretty good, low blood pressure. But no, I don't I don't like get any medical insight really into my body. I just run off how I feel. I think that's more important. Like, do you feel well? Is your energy high? Is your digestion good? Is your cycle regular? Is your sleep well? These sort of things. This is what we really should care about because that's your life. And like, who cares? Personally, I think, what if a blood test is saying this, but you feel great, or a blood test looks amazing, but you feel awful, like we're trying to feel good. So if you feel good, then you feel good. That's kind of how I do it anyway.
I agree, but I quite think about doing that because unfortunately I didn't do a blood test before starting the carnivore as well. Now it's been almost 3 months, so it's quite too late if I want to see now because I will not be able to compare, you
Yeah.
know. But I want to see, even if I feel good, I feel no, I don't feel anything like like I don't have any disease, like as far as I know, I'm totally fine. I do a lot of sports, exercise my whole life, but I know that some people like I don't know, I might be wrong, but when we start to get over 50, over 60, over 70, I think it's easier if we like keep track on
Yeah, like
the
regular checkups for sure. Yeah.
exactly. No, I think when we're
That's something
younger,
you want to do.
it like the body might not, feel anything if we change diet, if we eat bad or processed food. It's just like the body will fight always. But like, and the reason I'm saying that is because I managed to convince one of my aunts in Brazil that is like more open mind, but I think she's around 60 or almost 60, and she's being always open mind, for diets and exercise and this kind of thing. And after a month doing the carnivore diet, I was feeling so good. I was managing to get a better my allergy. I managed to lose a lot of weight, and I was just feeling better that I started to tell her like. Auntie, you have to do this, no? And I was doing this to everyone, no, to my girlfriend, to my friends, especially
Everyone
her.
around you is like, there he goes again.
Exactly. No, especially at the
We've all
beginning,
been
no,
that
you
person, yeah.
get crazy, like, oh, people need to
I
know
mean,
about
that's
this.
literally me on Instagram. I made a whole Instagram
Exactly.
about it.
No, and that's the reason I think we have to share this on social media because at
Yeah,
least there are people that want to hear that, and we don't make our friends crazy because they might not be
literally,
interested.
half of the reason I did it was to give my family a break.
Same, totally. I think we all understand these parts, but yeah. Anyway, my auntie started this, no, and after I think she's been now on day 37. So now
Amazing. Well
I
done,
spoke.
her.
Yeah, she said she lost weight, she lost some belly fat a lot, and but she's concerned now because she does her blood tests every 3 months, so she has the things to compare, and now she's concerned because she said like my she first of all she told me that she always had like a high cholesterol, but the diet that follows her says that no, it's okay. The cholesterol is good for you, so you don't need statins or you don't need to decrease it. Just keep it like that. But now she's afraid because the cholesterol is even higher than what,
Hmm.
but it was already high, and now her triglycerides as well, which was always normal. Now is also a little bit it increased. It's not above the the health guides, but it increased. And what else? I think her B12 as well increased a lot in only like
Hmm.
35 days. So
Hmm.
and she told me something as well that I don't remember, something else. But and she's concerned, no? So now she's gonna have an appointment with her doctor, no, at some point to see. So yeah, she was saying like, I might decrease a little bit because I'm afraid of
Uh-huh.
the amount of fat.
Yeah. But does she feel good? Is she feeling
Yeah,
good?
I guess she feels good. Yeah, like she said that she feels good. She feels happy of like all the weight that she lost and um
It's hard though, because I mean, I don't read blood results, like that's not my job. I would don't do that for people online, definitely not. It's really hard because we're going up against very strong traditional beliefs about what's causing disease, and cholesterol has been demonized very intensely and it creates a lot of fear, but from my opinion, my point of view, like I'm not concerned about dietary cholesterol at all. I think cholesterol and saturated fats are essential in the human body. They form the cell membrane of every cell. Cholesterol forms our hormones. It's in our brain. It's everywhere. If we clicked our fingers and got all cholesterol in our body, we'd be dead straight away. These foods are protective foods. We've been eating them for a very long time. We're made from them. So part of me I just can't I reject the idea that they're bad for us. My logic rejects it. I can't accept that. Not a scientific opinion, but I can't accept it.
Same. I agree with you, Lucy. And I think I am just sharing an experience because maybe someone that is watching this video as well might be living something similar because I heard this from another. I remember a live that I was actually watching from Dr. Shafe, and I think one person asked him about this, no, like, oh, my cholesterol, my triglycerides,
Triglycerides, yeah.
ti- ti- yeah,
It's okay, it's a mouthful.
it increases too much. Like in my first 2 months, like I'm very concerned about this. And he said, like, really, don't worry because especially the first 3 months, the body will go crazy because
It's going to be changing so much.
exactly. So
Yeah.
it's gonna
At
take
a
some
cellular
time.
level, you're moving. When you think about what you're doing, you've come from a sugar burning metabolism. All your cells are adapted to burning sugar, and then suddenly you're changing its fuel source to fat. Like that's not like a simple thing to for your body to do. You're asking a lot at a cellular level. So yeah, like things will probably look a bit different. And you're gonna feel probably really bad at the start because you're changing the way your body burns energy. Like that's huge. And yeah, blood tests can change. It's blood tests can change even in like Dr. Sean Baker, you know him. Like he's like the carnivore godfather. He kind of coined it, the carnivore diet. He gave it the name. He's had blood tests where he showed posted them and his testosterone's like 300 and something, and sometimes it's up in like 600 or whatever. Like it changes all the time. Like we're always changing. So sometimes we don't really know. Blood tests give us an insight into things, and some things are more useful than others. And maybe cholesterol isn't what we should really be focusing on. Maybe it's our glucose levels, our fasting insulin levels, our fasting glucose levels. These things give a very, very, a much more useful insight into our metabolic health than maybe cholesterol.
I totally agree with that as well. Yeah, so uh, for someone that is just starting or like watching this video and thinking about starting the carnivore diet or or just maybe decreasing the amounts of processed food and grains and carbohydrates, and
Yeah.
would you have any advice for them or any tips?
My advice is to download my free ebook. I wrote a free ebook to it basically will just run down it outlines the fundamental information that I think would be helpful for someone to know when approaching a carnivore diet or a low carbohydrate diet, whatever version of a meat-based diet you think you want to try, it's still like valid information. I wrote it when I was writing it. I really thought about my patients. I was like, if I had a patient who has very minimal information, what do I want them to know and how do I want them to be able to understand it? So I hope that it's a very simple guide, but also thorough and give you what you need. And then within that, I've then linked other people that I think is very helpful for you to listen to if you want to further your knowledge, maybe look for more specific, tailored information for your particular situation because it's very generic and diet is never actually generic. There's no yes, we all eat. I think we all should eat the same foods because we're all humans, we're all one species, but what foods and which ones are better for you. Like there is and how much fat, how much protein, there's a rabbit hole within the carnivore space of like how carnivore is going to work for you. And if that's something you struggle with, I do also offer one-to-one coaching. It's based on not just carnivore. If you want it to be, it absolutely can. But I do obviously understand that for some people, they don't want to go strict carnivore. They don't want to get rid of everything. But so it's based around still low carbohydrate and becoming fat adapted and just or troubleshooting carnivore, kind of whatever it needs to be. I can help you work through that. So you can go to my website through my Instagram at that carnivore nurse, or my website is fueledforlife.com. So you can find it there.
Perfect. Yes, I'm gonna leave you all your contacts, Instagram and website in the
Thank
description of this
you.
video for sure. And yeah, so I think that's it. Thank you so much, Lucy, for your time and for sharing all your experience and
Thank you
knowledge
so
here.
much. It was really great to chat to you, meet you.
Thank you so much, Lucy. Bye
Bye.
bye.